So Paul McCullen and I are sitting, talking, and drinking our morning coffee when all of a sudden a bullet drops out of the sky through the ceiling and it beds itself in the edge of Paul's desk. The bullet is of course a 5.45 by 39 millimeter round fired from a Kalashnikov, specifically designed to tumble in the body, shredding flesh and internal organs, ensuring a kill. In jumping for cover, I hit a chair and bruised my eye. Nothing to write home about, but worth taking a picture of. Part of my job is installing, pointing, and configuring satellite dishes to provide connectivity for the project. Several contractors use personal satellite dishes called Regional Broadband Global Area Networks, also known as RBGANs. The other part of my job is configuring routers, switches, satellite modems, and ensuring constant connectivity to the satellite. Several contractors brought personal satellite phones to stay in touch with pregnant wives. One of the biggest changes to happen while I was away was the assignment of private rooms to contractors. Nothing fancy, but it had all the bare essentials: bed, nightstand, and air conditioning. Since all the hooches hadn't been built out yet, I had to double up with another contractor. Unfortunately, our hooch is located right next to an electrical generator. This beast is on 24/7, roaring louder than a jet engine at takeoff and generating all the electricity for our equipment. The most anticipated build out of the camp was definitely the big bathrooms, with large high-capacity hot water heaters that at the very least supplied warm water. The showers were separate for privacy, and there were several of them to reduce the weight. There were several sinks with big mirrors so guys could double up while shaving. The commodes were also enclosed and separate, finally giving us some privacy. This is a bidet shower, and is an important part of Muslim hygienical jurisprudence and ablution, cleansing before prayer. Makeshift sidewalks were installed so we didn't muddy up the clean new facilities. A laundromat was installed and staffed by Iraqis, who for a small fee would wash, dry, fold, and even iron our clothes. At the front of the camp by the dairy was the MWR, which stands for Mental Health, Wellness, and Relaxation Center. It was air-conditioned and pretty well furnished with a pool table and several big plush chairs. But most important of all was a big screen TV, DVD player, and satellite receiver, so we could kick back, put our feet up, and watch mindless TV. Baghdad is a very dusty place, and when it rains, the dust turns into a very slippery mud. It rained so hard last night, the canals overflowed their banks, and my usual route to the chow hall was submerged underwater. I had to walk further down the road to a dam and use it as a bridge across the canal. I'd spotted these two kayaks in the past and wanted so much to use them to explore the canals. Last night, heavy rains flooded our camp and prevented vehicles from coming and going. But worse was the stench emanating from an oily film on the floodwaters, which I was told was from buried cow carcasses from the dairy. When soldiers arrived at this base, the cows had been abandoned and starving. The cows were euthanized and buried in what is now our camp driveway. A tanker truck was called in to pump out the floodwaters. To my horror, it's the same tanker truck which ships in our drinking water. Because of all the standing water in our camp, equipment started to short circuit. Air conditioners were especially prone because they used 240 voltage and pulled a lot of amperage. We quickly located the site of the short. It was underneath the road between the dairy and our camp. We called in a local electrician who got bogged down in the mud and had to be rescued by us, winching him out. The electrician first had to dig out and lay out the length of the buried electrical cable and expose the parts that had shorted and exploded like a bomb, causing an ongoing arc fire. The next step was to cut through the tough outer plastic protective sheathing with a handsaw and individually splice 20 wires and rewrap and test the outer protective sheathing. The power was then restored, allowing people to work and, more importantly, surf the web. As night fell and my shift ended, I made my way back to my bunk and was thankful that I had electricity to heat my hooch.